How about now? Do I need to be added to the stage? Can you now hear me as I work on getting my camera together? Good morning. Good. I'm glad y'all could hear me at the very least. If I need to slap a token guy PFP in the corner, I will. Good morning. Glad that y'all are here. We're currently watching the giant market dip, trying to analyze what we think is going to happen here. Kind of checking between 15-minute, 1 hour, and even the 1 day. But if you look at like the 15-minute, it looks like it might be starting a reversal, which still takes some time. So it could easily come down to like 150. But if you go to like the 1 hour or the 1 day, it's still looking like it's going to dip a good bit again. So easily could see 150, if not further. If we zoom out, you can go to like a 6-hour chart or 12-hour chart. See, we've got multiple lines drawn here, but see some major resistances. It broke through the 158. It's now sitting just above the 150. And then there's some pretty significant ones like right here, all the way down, kind of, the 142 to 144 area right here. And so I expect it to either bounce off of the 150 or come down to like the 142, which is why in a lot of my analysis and a lot of the things that I've said, I imagine that it'll drop. It could drop as low as 142. I'm thinking it'll be closer to the like 148, 146-ish. We'll see. Obviously, in the short term, it could come up a little bit again before it reverses back down. But I mean, if you look at the chart, like on a daily, you'll see like it's still very much in a falling pattern here. If you look on the daily, this is a double top is what it's called. I mean, we hit that in November and in January. Honestly, once this broke up to 295, everybody should have been stabling up, but hype and things like that definitely take over. It's hard to fully know what's happening, but RSI is looking pretty juicy, and so I expect it. I mean, like it could bounce here, but I'm expecting it to probably come a little bit lower again. Between 142 and 150 is kind of what I'm expecting. There's a ton of resistance around this. If it breaks below like 140, we're likely going to see 120 or 125-ish. But there's a lot of resistance between like the 138 all the way up to 150. And so it'd be very surprising if we saw it go below that, honestly. I'm betting and hoping it doesn't, but again, there is always that possibility. Are you DLMing these days? Yes, I am. Not like right this moment because we're seeing a really big dip, but in between the dips I am, and I am keeping up my DeFi tuna pool. And so you can see here, it's actually earning 0.45% a day. This has gone up and down a lot. It's gone between as low as 0.3 or 0.32-ish and as high as like 1.2. You can see I had opened one. And then I actually ended up opening another one because it was working so well. And so one of them's a little bit on the higher end here, and the other one's a little bit closer to center. But you can see here, I've used, let's see, we have 14,000 here, another 9,300 here, and we've earned $500. We've had these open for like 4 days now. And so obviously the position size is here, but this is our debt as well. Some days the debt's a little higher than others. So obviously you'd have to subtract the $75 from the total here. But overall, it's been doing really, really well. I'd love to compound at some point soon. I try to keep them open for a while on DeFi Tuna because every time you open a position, you have to pay fees, which obviously eats into your total yield. But the longer I can keep them open, obviously that's a good thing. I want to be able to compound, but it's got to make sense for me to compound. And so whenever I'm working with like over 20K total, like I am with this, like 25, 30K, like a few $100s really isn't going to make a massive difference. And so I want to try to get this up just a little bit higher if I can. But if it looks like the Jupe to Sol ratio is not going to, like I need to close it out because it's too far from the entry price, then I can do that. And obviously, like the downside of holding Jupe and Sol is that the market's going down, right? And so both Jupe and Sol are dipping. And so the overall value of my portfolio is going down. But as it's going down, I'm earning more Jupe and Sol. And so as it goes back up, if it stays within range again, then like I'll be earning even more than where I started because I've collected extra Jupe and Sol that is also going up with my portfolio going back up. And so that's the goal. These are long-term plays for me. Obviously, everybody's portfolio is going to be down now. It would be the only way it's not down is if you just stabled up everything and haven't been trading at all. Then that's the only way that it really wouldn't be down, which honestly would have been the smart thing to do if you're looking at the short term. But honestly, in the long term, I've stabled some here and there. But in the long term, it doesn't make a huge difference if you stabled at 200 or 183. If in a few months from now or at the end of this year, Solana's at $250 or $300, well, it really, again, you could have capitalized off of stabling and buying lower for sure. But if you're just holding it in the long term, like if you're lending on DeFi Tuna or anything or staking your Solana, you're earning extra Solana and eventually it could come back up. So I just bought JLP for the first time and did a multiply. I think I'm going to get liquidated. When did you do the multiply, girl next door? Did you do that? You did that on Camino, I assume. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Kanye West token? Are there too many rumors and speculations about it right now? Yeah, I mean, I'm staying completely away from the Kanye West token. I think it's an absolute just crap show. There's way too much FUD, way too much random stuff around it. There's going to be people who say they aren't buying and they are, but I'm not one of those people. I will not be buying it. I'm not going to look at the chart and say, oh, it's actually doing much better than I thought. Let me buy in. I'm just staying away from it completely. If after like 4 or 5 days a week, it still looks good, then I might DLM it after that. But definitely within the first few days, I'm absolutely staying away from it. What lev do you use on Jupe Sol position in DeFi Tuna? And are you semi-long? Yeah, I'm semi-long on Jupe. And I am using 2x or 2.2x is what it says here. It actually moves, but I started at 2x leverage here. And this one I actually did 3x leverage to try it out. And it's been working fairly well. Again, the interesting thing is that right now, Jupe on both of mine are higher than my entry point. Jupe is holding better than Sol. So you can see here, like in the time that Solana dropped from, let me pull it up here. The time that Solana dropped from, 200 basically, or 190-ish, all the way down to like where it is now at the 154, 153 range. Jupe did not do that. Jupe dropped from, 78 cents, maybe 80 cents ish down to only 71. And it looks like it's fighting back here right now. So Jupe's been holding a little stronger. I actually expected Jupe to go down a little more, but I think right now, the reason we're seeing a big price difference in Jupe Sol is because of future events that are being priced in. And I've talked about this before. I've posted about it recently, but essentially people are more bearish on Solana because of the unlocks, but people more bullish on Jupe because of the 2 million plus USDC that Jupe has collected that they'll be putting back into the chart. And so I think people are more bullish on holding Jupe than selling it right now. And they're more bearish on Sol. So that's creating a discrepancy where you see Jupe having a higher price than Solana as far as like their relationship, the token pair. And so that's why I'm seeing this closer to the end of my range here. But I do imagine that if Sol bounces here, Jupe won't bounce quite as hard. Maybe it will. And so we'll just keep watching it. We've been in range though for like I said, like 4 or 5 days. It's been great. NFT Jordy, I stabled between 260 and 280 and I'm slowly DCing back in. That's amazing. NFT Jordy. Good job, bro. BBJ, good morning. Yeah, Camino, my liquidation is 2.85 and I went in around 4.2. I don't know enough about the Camino multiply. What is the 2.85? What is that? is that a specific price or a ratio of something? Light equals noise. Good morning. While dealing Sol USDC, what would you do in the current situation if your position dropped out of range? My range was 175 to 181. Well, first of all, light noise, you went way too tight on your range. I do like on Meteora, I do a 20 bin step, 0.2% is what I do, which gives you about 6.5% down and 7% up, or maybe it's like 6.7% down and 7% up. And so that'll give you a much better range. Yeah, 6.57 and 7%. And so to me, this is like the minimum range that I'm going to do on Sol USDC, because you need, like, yes, you can earn more fees on a tighter range, but like, especially right now with the volatility of Solana, it's just, you don't know which direction it's going to go or how fast it's going to move. And so I would say the first thing was your range was too tight. Also, you've waited a long time, I think, to try to reposition at this point. So I would not be repositioning at this point. I would close out your position and maybe hold your Solana. It's up to you, but like if you reposition now, essentially however much Solana you had in the pool, or sorry, however much USDC you had in the pool, you bought down from 180 or 178 all the way down to 175. You would have used all your Solana buying there. So now you've bought Sol around the 175 and now it's down to 153. So if you were to sell the Solana back into USDC to try to create a new pool, you would lose a lot. And so I would not recommend doing that now. I'd probably just hold your Solana, but it's up to you. Again, like that's what I would do. But obviously everything I give here is just my opinions and not for financial advice. Tarab the Bold, what's up? Bevo Ball, is it still a good time to get into a Sol Jupe pool, or should I look elsewhere like USDC or other tokens, DeFi Tuna, Meteora? You could use DeFi Tuna or Meteora. They're great. I think Jupe Sol, it's a good time to get in. I would go slightly long on Jupe. I think they stay close together, but I think that we'll see ultimately a bounce at some point. And so I'm like, for instance, where is it? DeFi Tuna. I'm literally on it. You can see here, like, I had set this up. You can see the range here. I was more long than short, which is good because you can see it is well above the EP range. I was right in saying that I needed to be long on it, and the same on this one. Same thing here as well. So I'd like to see this pool come down just a little bit more closer to the EP, and I'll probably close it out. And then I'll hold on to this one a little bit longer because it's been staying around the EP really, really, really well. I think I found a good spot for it. And then I'll probably end up opening a new one off the funds I have here, rebalance it, and be, again, slightly Sol long. Like I'd probably be like 60-40. Sorry, I say Sol long, Jupe long. I'd probably be 60-40. So 40 on the downside and 60 on the upside with Jupe Sol. You could also do this on Meteora. Just not using leverage. You could go tighter of a range if you want. You could do 5 bins. You could do the 16 bin, things like that. Because like if you do the equivalent of what I'm doing on DeFi Tuna is probably closer to like a 20 bin or maybe a 16 bin, probably something closer to that range. I think I'm like 4% down and like 7% up maybe, or 8% up even on the upside. And so that'd be closer to like a 16 or a 20 bin. But you can do that on Meteora. You just won't earn as much because you're not using leverage, but it's also safer. So it's up to you. You could also do Sol USDC. Either one works. DeFi Tuna does use Orca pool, so it's a little bit different. But yeah. Question about ARC Sol, bid ask or spot on Meteor now. Are you buying it right now, Nag Aster, or do you currently hold it? He could have done a one-sided Sol pool to DCA back out through the pump, and that way he doesn't have to realize the loss. Yeah, but NFT Jordy, he last bought at 175. So if he does a Sol DCA pool on the way up right now, he'll still be selling on the way up less than 175. He would need to wait for the price to get back to 175 and then set up a one-sided Sol bid ask on the way up. Girl next door, 285 is the price. I guess my JLP gets sold. 285 is really, really low for JLP. I'd be surprised if it hit that. Yeah, I mean, you're at $4 and you started at 440. You want to know the last time JLP hit 285 is probably a really long time ago. You're probably not going to get liquidated. Look at this. The last time it hit 2.85 was here, right there. That was in July of last year. And the price of Solana in July of last year was around 130, 120. So also JLP compounds into itself with fees. So even though Sol just like goes up and down, JLP goes up and down less than Solana does, but it also is rolling fees that Jupe gets into it. And so not only is it less volatile, but it also over time should be much stronger than Sol is as far as its overall growth. So like in the time that Solana went from 130, went all the way up to 295, and now it's back down. You can see that like JLP rose steadily with Solana, and yet in the large dip, JLP's down from 4.9 to $4, which is only a 18.5% drop, whereas Solana is currently at 150 all the way from 295, which is a almost 50% drop. So like JLP is a really good place to have your money in that regard, because it's going to go up when Sol goes up, not quite as fast, but still pretty good. But then in like the dips, it's also not going to dip as much. And over the long haul, because of the rolling fees into it, it should be really, really good in the long haul. So like, yeah, to get to 2.85, Sol would probably have to hit $100 or lower. I would imagine 100, maybe even 90, which again, like at that point, that would be pretty rough. Pretty rough. Kind of late. Kind of late, but good morning. Hey, it's still good morning my time, Drew Barrel. What's up, dude? Think we see 0.0531 on the Sol ETH chart. I'm gonna have to go to Dex Screener to look at that. I don't like Dex Screener, but they'll have a better Sol ETH chart. Good morning, good night. It's great for a lot of things, but alt pairings is not its strong suit. I really wish I could get my camera working. I don't know what's going on with it. I guess I can put in my Logitech. I was using my nicer camera, and it's just not working. But here, let me just do this. Oh, what the heck is that? Random Hey-o, I'm back. All right. Okay, that looks good. Morning, everybody. All right, we're looking at the Sol ETH chart. I do want to talk about a few other things, but I'll answer some more questions. Yeah, this is probably... I mean, there's a lot of different ways I could look at this. This probably is not the best way, but we'll just look at this one. Also, this is ETH Sol chart. You were asking about Sol ETH. Can I flip this on Dex Screener? I'm not sure. Let's just do this. We're going to Google search. Trading View. Let's do this. While we're waiting for that. Token Guy, I mean, your ARC Sol position on Meteor. It's interesting to see. Oh, yeah, it's a one-sided bid ask. It's like at the very bottom. ARC, honestly, is like holding really, really strong. Like Again, Sol dropped from like 175 down to 150 basically, or 152. And ARK only dropped from like 240, 230 something down to like 200 mil. And so it's actually holding really strong. I expected it to be a little bit lower than this. I think I'm right at the edge of my pool. Oh no, it's actually doing better than I thought. I've also been compounding using spot, so it was a straight bid ask, but every time I compound with my fees here, I add back in with spot. So I put in less Sol and I put in more on the ARK side, but I just keep compounding this in. And it's only earning 0.33% right now, but that's because it's at the bottom of my range. Once this moves into the middle of the range, this will move up closer, probably like 0.75%. And then obviously volumes are lower right now as well. All right. Ad blocker. What? I don't, it's probably my, my VPN. Okay, let's take a look. I think we see 0.0531 on the Sol ETH chart. Oh, here we go, full chart. I'm like, how do I adjust this? It's possible, but it's not likely. I mean, 0.5, it might hit exactly like 0.053-ish. Like just a little bit below. Like the lowest I could see it hitting is somewhere in this zone on Sol ETH. Again, I could be completely wrong. This is just my assessment. This is like the bottom I would see it hitting. It's most likely going to hit here or just above where it is right now. It's probably going to bounce off of one of these two. At the lowest, it would bounce off of this. So yes, it could hit that, but I don't think it would go much lower. It hit 2.85 on those daily wicks more recently, no? On JLP? Oh, you're talking about these wicks? I don't know if these count. Like these are massive wicks. These are like these are like MEV wicks. I would hope that they don't trigger off of this. But this is like 2.1 all the way up to like 8, right? These are MEV wicks. I don't think that this would trigger it. I could be wrong. It would suck if that triggers it. Because if it did, like people would be getting liquidated all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it does, but I would imagine it doesn't, and I hope it doesn't. So when you choose Jupe Sol over Sol USDC, let me bring this down some. Is the main reason less volatility, so easier to manage, or are you specifically bullish on Jupe? No, the main reason is like Sol and USDC. Solana is a volatile asset, obviously. USDC is not. And so naturally, it won't stay in range forever unless you have just a ridiculously wide range, right? Like you expect it to move to the outsides. Whereas Jupe Sol, they move together. And so they don't move exactly together, but they do move in the same general direction together. And so because of that, here, let me show you. Because of that, I don't even need to do that. Never mind. Yeah, because of that, it's easier for them to stay in range longer. And so the Jupe Sol pool is going to be earning less, is going to be earning less than a Sol USDC pool, but not by a ton. So like if I were to set up a Sol USDC pool at 2x leverage, and I did it similarly to how I do Jupe, like let's say I'm slightly long on Sol, I'd be doing it like something like this maybe. I'm earning, actually I would need to go down probably to here. Yeah, so this is like a fairly wide range, but this is like kind of what would be the range that I think it could bounce between. And obviously I think it could go to 140 or 142, but I think that if it does, it won't be there very long. And so like I would set my limit orders here outside of that. So I'd put my limit orders at like 138 and like 172 just outside there, something like this. So that way, if it comes below here, it can still come back up. And then I would set the range like this roughly on it, and I'm earning 1.1%. The thing is that like, again, like I may be able to stay in this range for a day or two or maybe three, but like it's much harder to stay in range on this. Whereas these pools, the fees are less, about half as much. But I've been in range on these pools for like, again, like 5 days, I think. One of them's maybe 4 days, the other one's 5 days. And so it just allows me to stay in range longer, and I'll take less in permanent loss. And so that's why, that's the main reason why. Interesting. So I might make it. Yeah, you might. July 24th, it last hit that price. Seems comfortable. Yeah, I agree. Regarding your answer to NFT Jordy, do I understand right when I use a two-sided pool, Sol USDC, when the price of Sol goes down, I have to close the pool and reset it by changing my Sol USDC and reset the pool right after? Is that the best option? CS tag. Yes, that is the best option. And so the main thing when resetting your pool or rebalancing it is that you want to do it before it moves out of range. You can do it when it's like near the bottom, but like when you're doing this, when this middle bar here is moving down, somewhere around the like 90%-ish mark, you would probably want to rebalance it unless it's near, like it looks like it's about to hit a major support. So like, let's say I set this pool right here. The bottom is around 144. And so like if I'm in this pool and it's like hit nearing the end and I think it's going to bounce back, then I might not rebalance it. I might just let it stay. But if like I had already set up this pool and we were where we are right now, which is 154, but 154 was near the bottom, I would definitely be rebalancing it because it's like I think it could go lower. And so you really don't want it to go out of range at all, or for very long, or for very far, I should say. Because again, you're buying Sol on the way down. And so if you last bought it at 144, and then let's say you reset the pool at 136, well, you're now selling Solana at 136 and you last bought it between 144 and 154. So you'd be at a loss. Whereas if you do it here and you rebalance it while it's still in range, technically you're at a loss from when you bought it up here, but it's still well within range to where whenever you reset it and its Sol comes back up, you'll be regaining that again. Whereas if you let it go out of range and you do it, you won't be gaining anything from like the 136 all the way up to the 144 until you get back to the 144. So everything between the 136 and the 144 will be a loss. So you want to try to rebalance while it's still in range if you can. And again, I like the 20 bin step. Again, this would take it from 144 all the way up to 165. I think that's a good range right now. I think probably within the next day or two, it'll stay within this range-ish. And then you could go from there. But like this pool is earning, it says 0.26%. Because the volume's been really bad. Realistically, it's probably a little higher than this. But again, this is slightly less risky than DeFi Tuna. But if you do a 2x on DeFi Tuna, it's not very risky in the long run. So yeah. Thanks for the perspective. Makes sense. Is the average yield similar? I just showed you that. The Jupe Sol is going to be less, which is why I do Jupe Sol on DeFi Tuna. If I was comparing Sol USDC to Jupe Sol on Meteora, I'd probably be doing Sol USDC because the discrepancy is too big. It's about Sol USDC is about 3, sometimes even 4 times more at the same ranges than Jupe Sol, or close to the same ranges. Where on DeFi Tuna, because I'm using the leverage, it ends up only being, roughly twice as much for Sol USDC. But again, if I can stay in range longer, then it's worth it to me to earn a little bit less on the fees. Currently, I'm also slightly long. I'd be slightly long Sol, or in this in this instance, I'm slightly long Jupe. But in a normal market condition, I'd be wanting to go delta neutral, which basically just means whenever you set up your pool, you're trying to reduce how much you're losing at the as the price fluctuates, like your overall value. And you're just trying to earn off of the fees. And so like I would have an even, like let's say 4% on either side. and I would set this up. However, I would do like 2x. And then the way I would go delta neutral here is by, this way, is by lending out all of my jupe. And so I'm basically shorting Solana here. And so by doing this, this creates a delta neutral position. We call it a pseudo delta neutral position because it's not perfect. You would still have some loss near the ends of your range here. It would just be less than like if you were long in the position. And the reason why this is because I've talked about this before, but a position like this, you're actually long SOL, right? So people like you would think, oh, I'm neutral here, right? Because I'm half and half, but you're actually 100% long because if the price moves down at all, you're losing immediately. The value of your portfolio is going down right away. And if it goes up, you're 100% going to be gaining on your portfolio. And so you're actually 100% SOL long here. And so on DeFi Tuna, if you're doing a 2x leverage, that means your 1x is what you're putting in. In this instance, I have 2.9 SOL here. And then the other 1x is I'm borrowing that same amount. Now, I'm not borrowing exactly 2.9 SOL because this is just what I'm putting in, but it'll actually adjust based on what my borrow ratio and stuff is. But it's going to be 1x of 2.9 SOL value and then 1x of the same 2.9 SOL. So basically what's happening is that I'm setting up a 100% SOL long. And then on the borrowed value, this determines what it is here. And so if I borrow 100% jupe, I'm now 100% SOL short. So the 1x that I'm putting in, the 2.9 SOL, and then the borrowed amount, the other 1x, is now the opposite of what mine is, right? So I'm basically creating two different graphs where one, I'm 100% SOL up, 100% I'm sold down on a 2x scenario. And therefore now I'm fully delta neutral or pseudo delta neutral because it's not perfect. And basically this reduces the impermanent loss that I would take otherwise, mainly on the short side. And so, yeah. No way to do that neutral on DLMMs. There technically is. It's just you manually have to do it, and it's really, really cumbersome. For Meteor, rebalancing would mean closing position and opening another that overlaps your original range. Yeah, Dino Sharks, the best way to do this would just be, let's say I have this pool open, and this moves all the way down to here, right? Let's say like it moves all the way down to here. Then I would close out of the pool completely. And then I would do this exact same 20 bin step, 0.2%, have the autofill. And what you would need to do is you would need to go to set up the pool and it'll tell you, like, if it comes down to here, you're going to have more SOL. So you need to make sure you're entering in the same amount. You can look at your current balance or your total liquidity, and whatever that is, you want to try to match that. And so what you'll end up having to do is if the price comes down, you'll have to sell some of your Solana back into USDC to make it balanced again. And then you'll reopen the pool. Just make sure you're doing the same range that you did before, and you should be fine. But yeah, Jabril Khalif asked if there's any way to do delta neutral on DLMs. You could. The way you would do it is you would have to open up a perpetual or do a lend. This is like pretty deep here. But the easy way to do it would be to come here and you would actually open up a short on Solana. So let's say your position on Sol USDC is $500 worth of Sol and $500 worth of USDC. Well, you're 100% Sol long. And so to then go Sol short 100%, you would take half of the amount. So if we're 500 and 500, that's a total of 1,000. You would come over here and you would have to add a $500, which is again half the amount, Sol short. Or you could do like $250 and then do like a 2x, right? There's multiple ways to do it. The total amount would need to equal your total short position would need to equal $500, which, oh yeah, sorry, this should be a 2x. And it should equal $500. And so what I'd do is I would have to manually open a Sol short here. I would then do Sol USDC here. And the reason why you do this is that if the value of Solana goes up, currently, you would be increasing your overall TVL. But if the value of it goes down, you'd be losing on it, right? And so the way that you reduce that is by opening that short. you want to open it at the same price. You would add liquidity, you'd immediately open the short. And then now, if the price of Solana goes down, your overall TVL is going down here, but you're earning on your perpetual position as it goes down. And so the short that you've created here offsets the loss of this going down. But on the other side, when this goes up, normally you would gain. But since you have a short perpetual opened, you would actually, the gains you would gain off of this are going to be neutralized by the loss you would take on your perpetual that's open. And so what ends up happening there is that you've created a delta neutral position. You've now made it to where if the price goes up, you actually don't gain anything because of the offsetting short position and this going up. But if it goes down, you're no longer losing any because your short position is now gaining to offset that. And so this is what we would call a delta neutral position. There's multiple ways that you can do this, but that's the gist of like how that would work. And this basically would allow you to just earn off of the fees, right? Because you're no longer gaining off of it going down or up, or losing off of it going down or up. You're just focused on the fees. Also, just know we call this a pseudo delta neutral position because of fees and because of the time it takes to swap between them. There will be small losses or fees that are incurred in between making these trades. And it's all done manually, so it's kind of rough. But by doing this, you can get somewhat of a delta neutral position. And again, it won't be perfect. Like, for instance, let's say this were to go down from 154-ish all the way down to 143. Let's say that your $500 would now be worth $250. Again, this isn't exact math. I'm just giving you an example. With the delta neutral position, instead of losing 250 of your 500, you might only lose like 20 or $50, right? So again, you still would have some loss near the end of your range. It'll just be much, much less. It's not perfect, but it's much less. And on the upside, it's the same thing, except it would be kind of the inverse. And so on the upside, whenever it goes up, if you get to the end of your range, your short position will be offsetting the gains that you've had here. And so you actually won't be in a gain at all. You'll be in a loss. Like maybe let's say your 500 would have become 750. Instead, now you'll just lose 50. Also, one thing to consider with this is that if you do open a short position, this is like a very advanced strategy. So just like be very careful. I would test this out with like a very small amount of money if you wanted to do it. But again, there's a lot of manual like swapping back and forth that you'll need to do. And so just be very careful when doing this. On the way down with your short position open, you can actually hold this all the way to the end of your range. On the upside, if you hold it all the way to the end of your range, because you're DCAing out of it on the way up, your sole short position will hurt you more on the upside than it does on the downside. And so the way you offset this is that basically on the short side, again, you can allow it to come to the end of the range. On the upside, if it moves up like 20%, you'll need to close the short position. You'll need to close your DLMM. You'll then need to rebalance your DLMM where it's at. So let's say it moves from 153 to 157. You'll need to rebalance it there. And then you'll need to open a new short position. And if it keeps going up, every time it moves up roughly like 20%, and when I mean 20%, I don't mean 20% of the value of SOL. I mean like 20%. Let me say it this way. Right now, you're up 7% roughly on your pool. If it moves up 2% of the 7, then you would need to rebalance it. I'll just say it that way. So if it moves up 2% of the 7%, you would need to, so like from 153 to like 157-ish or 156-ish, right up in here. And the reason why is because the SOL short will hurt you more the further it moves up on the high side. And so you'll just need to rebalance it more if the price of Solana is moving up than you will if the price of Solana is moving down. Hopefully that makes sense. That's like, it's a fairly complex strategy. We see this on DeFi and like ETH and in other places. But that's essentially how this works. Again, it's difficult to do, but good morning, Genesis Charm. Dino-Shark, thanks for the explanation. How would you decide the new range and how much of SOL to sell? So you just need to balance it. So like, for instance, let's say I do, again, forget the numbers that are up here. Let's just say I'm $100 in on both sides. So my total position is $200. So I'm $100 in USDC and I'm $100 in SOL. and let's say it goes down halfway. So now I have $150. Again, this isn't exact math. It wouldn't be this. I'm just, again, if it came down this way, I'd have $150 in Solana and $50 in USDC. So I would, if I go to rebalance it here, I would need to sell $50 worth of Solana to where I now have $100 of both again. So just remember, or write down, or chart, or however you want to do it, what you entered your position with, and what you're exiting your position with. Sorry, that's even more important, what you're exiting it with, and balance to that. Because if the price comes down, the price of your SOL will also come down. So for instance, if you had 100 and 100 and it comes down halfway here, it's not going to be 150 and 50 because the value of SOL has gone down. Maybe it'll be your total position may only be worth $180 or $160. And so when you go to rebalance it, you'll just need to make sure, let's say the total position was 160. Well, now you'll need $80 worth of Solana, $80 worth of USDC, and rebalance it that way. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So yeah, so I'm using DeFi Tuna. Meteor works really well. Both of these options are really, really good. Let me go back to Sol here. Sol's chilling around this 153. I think it's going to go down further than this. Again, it's good to see it kind of have a little bit of resistance here. Like if we go to the 15-minute, we'll see that there's a lot of resistance starting, which again is a good sign. Let's see if I can get back to this. You can see a little bit of a bounce here. I do imagine it looks like it's trying to reverse on the 15-minute to where it may even come up a little bit higher before it comes back down. Let's see. On the 1 hour, you can see it's still showing it dropping. And then on the 1 day, we can see that it's also still dropping pretty heavily when you look at the MACD and such. It is coming somewhat to a slow, which is, again, good because that means that there is a lot of resistance here as it's coming down to the support levels. So again, because it's doing this, I imagine that it could trickle a little bit lower. 148 to 150 is the numbers that I've been saying, I think, but potentially all the way down to like 142. So we'll see. We'll just have to keep watching it. This will happen over the next few days or even a week. Like it's not just going to happen like in the next 6 hours. So we'll see what happens. Again, I imagine over the next day or two, we'll see some pumps back up, maybe to 160-ish. At some point, I could see it coming back up as high as 160 or maybe even a little higher. But ultimately, I think it's going to end up dropping a little bit lower than where it is now. In your opinion, what's the best strategy to accumulate more SOL? Do you sell SOL in a bid ask one side to rebuy in the bottom? I mean, the best way possible is to sell all of your Solana for USDC and then to buy that in lower. The problem with that is it's also the most difficult because you have to time the market perfectly, which is incredibly difficult, almost impossible to do. Some people will sometimes be able to time the market almost perfectly. I have before, but there's also many times where I've completely not timed it well. And so I don't bet on myself to time the market perfectly. I just try to get as close as I can, right? And so, for instance, right now, like I've stabled up some things, not a ton, but I have stabled up some. And so my goal is to buy back in somewhere around 148 to 150. If it then goes to 142, I'm okay with that because, again, I think it's going to come back up in the long term. And so if I missed it by that $8, that's okay in the grand scheme of things, especially if Solana ends up breaking 200 or 300 again, right? Which I do expect it to do. And so, yeah, I just think that ultimately you don't want to try to get it perfect, if that makes sense. You just want to get as close as you can. Would it make sense to use less money, more leverage on my short and still be neutral? Yes, as long as you watch your liquidation point, you can do that. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if you go to short here, you can do $50 if you're trying to get to a 500 position, right? And you can just do 10x. So now we're still a $500 short, but we're $50 in, which is a much lower deposit needed, which allows you to put more of your money into the DLMM pool. Because if you only have, so much money, if you use all of it in the perpetual short, then it's going to reduce how much you can put in here. And so you do want to use less if you can, but you want to make sure your liquidation is not too high. So in this instance, our Sol USDC pool is all the way up to $164.60. So we would rebalance well before this. Again, like we want to rebalance on the way up around 158. And so you can see here, if I use $50 and do a 10x on my short, my liquidation price is 168. And so this is well above where I'd be closing this out anyway. And so this would work, right? But if you do $5 and you do 100x, your liquidation point, oh, I have to use at least $10. Okay, let's do a 50x. Now my liquidation price is 155.7. And so in this instance, a $10 with a 50x is way too risky and the liquidation is way too close. So you wouldn't want to do that. I like a little bit of comfort room, a little bit of comfort and room for the price to be okay. So I would do something like this. Probably if I was, because you think about it, like if you're doing a 500 short, that means your overall Sol USDC position is $1,000. It's 500 and 500. And so $50 on the 1,000 isn't going to make a huge difference in your DLM. So something like this could be safer. You could even do like $100 at a 5x if you want to be even more safe. But yeah, using a lower amount here will allow you to put more into your DLMM. You just don't want to go too high on the leverage. I always try to lean on the safer side. And again, this is a very like advanced, complex strategy. You're having to manually balance a lot of stuff. I would not like just leave open the short and the DLMM position for a long period of time. I wouldn't do that. Like you could go away for 30 minutes or an hour, maybe like go to lunch, but I would not be leaving this up like overnight because again, you could like, yeah, you could mess up and you could lose a lot of money. So just be very careful with that. IMG is pumping right now, which is interesting, which I don't think I have any of. I think I'm like fully in Jupe Sol. I have some USDC. But yeah, IMG is doing well. I've been watching IMG a little bit. IMG, SSE. Let's get into some meme coins here. So obviously the meme coin market's taking a hit. But IMG, SSE, obviously Jupe, ARC, these are all coins that I'm very interested in now. Let's go to, hold on, that was my ARC pool. Let's go to this JLP one. That's not a big deal. Well, I got some messages in Discord. Bruh, when people message me on Discord with a GoFundMe link, just chatting with some people there. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, I think that answers all the questions there. So yeah, looking at meme coins, like obviously Jupe is not like an official like meme coin, but it's more of a governance coin or utility coin, whatever you want to call it. But it still is classified as a similar SPL token, similar to how meme coins are. So that's one that I look at. ARC's one that I look at. SSE is interesting. It's the Solana Social Explorer. Let me show you all this one. Again, I'm not like crazy bullish on SSE, but it is one that's interesting, that's been doing fairly well. So I've been checking this out a little bit more. It's got a decent amount of attention on Twitter and have been doing well. But yeah, focusing on the social layer, being able to build early, things like that. Anything that's like, to me, going towards the future, as far as like what Solana, what Web3 and the blockchain can be, and is on a infrastructure level and has created a token, is something that makes me very interested and potentially bullish on. And so you can see here, like this is focused on helping people code and build things more efficiently. Focusing on like social apps and things like that, being able to be built on the blockchain. Again, so like this type of Solana social explorer type thing that it's talking about here, it's something that definitely makes me interested that I'm watching. It's similar to what I looked at on Arc, because Arc is an infrastructure. It's building on the blockchain, but it's focused on AI. And so it literally has its own infrastructure that people will be able to build off of called Rig. So these are coins that I'm interested in. Genesis Charm on YouTube asked, how do you hunt a coin or your criteria to DLM it? This is something that I've gone over a lot. I actually have a video on my profile, a post that's here. And so I recommend you go check this out. It's called my Ultimate DLM Guide. You can look at some different basics of what we've talked about, but there's also certain things like pool selection, advanced strategies, and charting entries and exits. In this, I talk a little bit about how I find tokens, but there's also going to be a ton of other posts that I've made with videos and things like that you'll be able to see. I have other live streams that I talk about this directly on. And then somewhere in here, I have some videos. I guess this is not a good way to do this. I could just go to media. Here we go. I post a lot of random stuff. What is this one? Tuesday market update. Look at me. Anyway, there's some videos somewhere else where I've created some different, some other videos outside of this, which you can check out as well. That'll help you with that. But just the general, I don't mind going over it a little bit. In general, whenever I'm looking for something, first of all, you need to understand the market as a whole. And so like right now, there's just not as many plays. I would be much more careful getting in and out of meme coins. And so I see you talking about pump funds, AMM thing. We'll look at that in just a minute. Yeah, I want to leave that site. And so in general, what I do is I go to the 5-minute volume. I sort the tokens by the 5-minute volume from highest to lowest. And this helps me to be able to find things that are currently popular or popping off. And you could also do the 1 hour mark whenever you're doing this. Let me see something here. This looks a little off. Let me hard refresh this real quick. But there's a ton of stuff that you have to filter out. So like if I'm looking at a coin that was released, the age of it is 1 minute or 9 minutes ago, and it's like 50 mil, 150 mil. Like these are all just fake coins, right? First of all, they were just created. They're saying that they're doing a ridiculous amount of volume. And yet they are, let's go to 1 hour volume. And yet they're just fake, right? I could click on them, but I already know they're fake. Like this coin here is Yeezy. There's tons of fake Yeezy coins. This right here, fake, right? And then some of these that have been out a little longer may be real, but a lot of these are going to be fake as well. Some of them, like obviously Trump is a real thing. ARK is a real thing. There's certain ones, Pingu, right, in between. And so you kind of have to filter through some of these on either the 5 minute or the 1 hour. You're going to have to filter through them. But usually I like to look at a coin that's been out for at least a day, and you can filter that right here. You can do, are these minutes or months? This just says it does age less than 24 hours. No, I want age greater than 24 hours. There's like what, 1,440 minutes in a day? Is that right? Yeah, there you go. 1 day. I think it's 1,440. It's 60 minutes times 24. Yeah, 1,440. And so you could do something like this so that you know it's at least a day old. And then you can filter through, right? And so some of these, it's like Ray, Camino, these are infrastructure coins. They don't move a ton compared to other things. But you could look at some of these. You could look at like Jailstool, for instance. I'll just open that one up, go through some of these, click on like IMG. Okay, cool. Like you just have to go through and look at them and see how popular they are and how much volume they have. And then once you do that, then you click on the token. You want to look at the chart and say, okay, is this a healthy chart? Where was its highs? Where is its lows? Based on the market, is it moving relative to the market, or is it actually moving like much more aggressively away from the market, or in a upward motion away from the market, right? And so those are all good things. Jailstool is a token. Like if you have your finger on the pulse, if you will, of the market, you'll know that this was one that's been pushed out by, I already forgot his name, Dave Portnoy, and hasn't done well recently. It still has a decent amount of volume though. Not anything amazing, but I would look at this and say, okay, its all-time high was like 180, 200 mil. It's now at 12 mil. That's not very good. You could click on Twitter here, see what's going on. But in general, I'd look at this and say, all right, this chart isn't very healthy. No thanks, right? You can look at Trump. Trump's at 15 billion market cap. You can see here, if you look at it, it's moved between 15 and 20 billion market cap for a while now. And so the fact that it's at 15, it looks like it's moved down with the market, but it's staying fairly steady. If you like the Trump coin, you can check out Twitter, see what it's doing. Maybe you want to buy into that, right? You could look at, again, SSE. There's a few different ones. IMG, I think I was supposed to click on. So you just need to look into like what they're doing. Why is, when I click on IMG, does the Trump token come up? It's random. You can see IMG is the infinite money glitch, right? This was really, really popular. You can see I sold and bought a bunch up here. And it's, did fairly well for a while. It then came down a lot. But the fact that it came down, volume reduced, and then it's had a recent pump back that's done fairly well, that's actually a pretty good sign for a token that people have gotten re-excited about it. You can see on the volume's decent. It's not anything amazing. You would then click on Twitter again and just look at the narrative. Look at what they're building. Say, is this something that I'm interested in, right? Obviously, you want to look at things like this as well. Good Morning, Good Night is an amazing tool for this. So it shows snipers. There's no snipers in here. There were some, but they all sold. There's no more snipers. The top 10 only owns 12%. So a lot of those are good signs. You can also buy and sell IMG here using Good Morning, Good Night. I have a link in my Discord to use my referral code if interested in using it. I use this all the time. If I'm buying stuff like Sol USDC, I don't use this obviously because I use Jupe and it's cheaper. But if I'm buying a meme coin that has a little bit more fluctuation, a lot of times I'll use Good Morning, Good Night here. And so this may be a good one, right? Again, I'm not in it right now, but it could be good. Similar with something like SSE compared to what where it was, just recently, it's hit like 30, 35 mil. But this is when Solana was much higher, right? And so the fact it's at 25 mil now, well, that's not a huge drop. It's actually holding fairly strong. And so SSE could be pretty good. Again, I kind of explained what it is, the Solana Social Explorer, but that's what you would do. You just go and see what they're doing right now. I recommend people buying things that people from builders, right? So if there's a token that is representing something that someone is building, that's what I would recommend. If there is some sort of really good meme coin that comes out that's hilarious, something that has traction, you could get into it. Just don't stay in it long. I would recommend only staying in it while it seems really hyped up that first day. And at some point, get out whenever you've made some money. But I'd be careful with that overall and be buying mostly things that builders are buying, that builders are building on, or other people. Yeah, you get it. I lost my words there. ARC is one, Jupe's one. SSE, again, I don't own this yet, but it's one that I'm watching. IMG is one that I'm watching, things like that. I know UFD had a lot of FUD, but it looks like it's doing fairly well right now. It's got a lot of holders. It still shows it has one sniper, which is interesting. I don't know how much they're holding. A sniper could mean an actual sniper. It could just be someone who bought in during the whatever phase, the migration phase from Pump Fund. But yeah, it's down a decent amount, but nothing terrible on UFD. Volume's pretty good on it today, so that could be a good one, right? You just want to look into things like that. What do I think of Pump Fund AMMs? I'm really curious to see like what happens here. I'm not too sure. There's like a deposit withdrawal thing. I'm trying to figure out what exactly they're doing with their AMMs. Like, am I having to put my soul forth and it's going to be like towards a specific coin? Is it just a giant pool that they'll use, right? So I'm curious to see what this turns into. They're creating their own AMM thing. They're also going to, like, this allows them to be able to have their own migration. Instead of migrating it directly to Radium, they'll have their own. It'll be migrated on Pump Fund if they have enough liquidity to do that. And so depending on the risks and stuff, this might be something I invest in. We'll see. I think this could be good. I believe in a free market, so I think competition is good overall. If this helps Radium and Meteor and other people be better, having to be better to compete with them, then hey, I'm all for it. So we'll see. Apparently, somebody told me, I saw someone post about it, that you can withdraw to your bank account from StreamFlow. I don't know if that's part of like payroll How does it affect gaming use cases? That'd be interesting to study. Case studies. Oh, there you go. They probably have it right there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that more. I was curious about that. I don't know if y'all have seen Portal Fantasy. This looks like a fun little game, by the way. I love gaming. I'll probably start covering a little bit of gaming here and there that's around Web3, like DeFi dungeons that are coming out. If y'all haven't seen that, it's the team behind the Heist, which I actually worked with the Heist team helping with some of the game mechanics and things like that. And so that was like a while back, like year and a half ago or something like that. But it's the same team, and working with them, I know that they have a really good team that's able to build some cool stuff, and they've been working on this for a long time. And so I'm interested to see like how well this does. It's a cool theme. I love raiding. I love MMOs and stuff like that. And so I'm curious to see how well they do this, because if they hit it out of the park, I think this is going to do really, really, really well. But yeah, anyway, so that's one thing. But there's also other games. Someone had mentioned this Portal Fantasy game to me, which it's got a lot of attention, over 118K followers. And it's basically like Pokemon, but it's like really, really well done. The story's well done. And so it'll be interesting to see. But like, here, look. Girl next door says, yes, please cover Web3 gaming. I think this space should really grow. Gamers pay millions of dollars for DLCs, and we can move the mindset to ownership, and the Web3 would be good. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I have to enter a code. Let me just put this over here in case it let's see here. Not trying to get my thing hacks. Apparently it's like a play to earn right now, or like play to like farm the token for the future, but it's like really well done. It seems like it's a single player. I don't know if it goes multiplayer at some point, or if it is multiplayer. I literally just started playing it last night, but honestly it gave me super like nostalgia vibes from playing Pokemon back in the day. It's loading now. Let's see what happens. Yeah, because it has like a new and then like a continue and stuff like that. And so I'll show you all this. Some of y'all may not be into gaming, you're into just DeFi. Hey, that's cool. I'm just gonna do this real brief. If you don't see it, totally fine. Get it. If you need some Web3 recommendations, I'm an older player. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Honeyland, honestly. I tried it out. Oh, this is like starting me over. Interesting. I already have a Pokemon, or they call them I've already created a character. How do I username taken? I know, because I've already created one. I've already done all this. I thought I clicked continue. Maybe it started a new one for me for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, but it's really well done. Like it's besides like the slightly long loading screen, which is definitely gives you a nostalgic old school feel. But I really like the way that they did the combat and stuff. See, like I've already done this, but for some reason it's making me do it again. But I know it seems strange, but it's like Pokemon, but like they have some jump stuff and some different things that you can do. The questing seems cool. I actually really like the combat of it. Did you use a different wallet to log in? Oh yeah, that's probably why. I did use a different wallet. But it said continue, and it shows my Pokemon right here. Or the sound and the rain and the lightning is really cool. I thought that was pretty dope. supposed to come in here. I go to sleep. I think maybe I used a different wallet to log in. That's what I was thinking. I would go for another game from Heist People. Yeah, I think they'll do good. Yeah, but it shows my pourables. That's what they're called. It shows my pourables here that I've collected. So it's weird that it's like, and the little quest guy, there was supposed to be a quest guy here, that he's not there. So it's like, it's making me start over at the beginning. I wonder if it's because I'm supposed to like, you know how you can save like where you like will reset your game at, or like a save point, or like where you wake up in your bed or whatever. I'm pretty sure that it brought me back to that thing because I probably haven't like set up my I haven't set up my like new sleeping area. I'm supposed to equip this guy here too. Okay. Did that work? Did I do it? Is he in there? Yeah, he is. Okay, cool. I just want to show you all the combat real quick, and then I'm gonna hop off this and do some more DeFi stuff. You can go through this. It's like, it feels like similar to Pokemon and how it works, but it's like a little bit more interactive feeling. It's a little more advanced, I should say. And I like this view like this. So this is my dude here. Or no, sorry, this is my dude here. I have two of them. And you can like choose the different abilities, but like I use like space to like attack. And it shows like the order of operations here of like how you do it. So you could just like do basic attacks. And then like once you build it up, you can hit like a special ability like this. I don't know. Rotate portable. Okay, so if I wanted to like bring this dude in, I could. Is that how I do that? F? Okay, there we go. Oh, snap. Good thing I swapped him out because he's weak versus me. Anyway. Let's do a defensive thingy. Oh, who's going to out-defend the other one? Here, let's swap back. My other dude's much better. He'll wreck him. All right. Let me tap space a few times, then I'll hit him with my special. There it is. Oh, my special was available. I didn't use it. Here we go. I'll use it now. Bam. He's all defensed up. Anyway, it's a little more interactive. Like I'm hitting my space. I can also do this S thing, which makes me reckless, which means I deal more damage, but I take more damage as well. Oh, he leveled up. Let's go. And then like when you could defeat something, I could have tried to catch it, but like I already have one. But you can like loot and get different materials that you'll use for like crafting and stuff. So it seems pretty cool. Anyway. I'm not a massive Web3 gamer, but curious about how Web3 is being used to facilitate gaming and the tokenomics behind it. I mean, games are still built the same way, right? Tech stack, etiquette. So what exactly is the Web3 angle? They're not built exactly the same way. I can come heal my dudes up here. Cool. All right, we might have to re-log in after doing whatever, but we'll just log out for now. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting, right? Like if you're into DeFi, you're into Web3, like whatever that looks like, then like you should be bullish on gaming because like y'all said here, like many people have said, the ownership of assets is like so important. I really think that we'll see like Fortnite. I don't know if y'all saw, but Fortnite started to accept crypto as payment. So like that's pretty big. I think that we see companies like Fortnite or other things and people being able to, yeah, just like Girl Next Door just said. So take World of Warcraft, people already sell accounts, items, and gold. Being on the Web3 side makes it more open and safe. You can sell your whole account, save someone hundreds of hours of playing. Yeah, exactly. So like if someone wanted to buy an item that's really good, instead of buying it with in-game currency, you can buy it with real currency. And so then like when you play the game, the time that you spend playing the game, the items and gold you collect, eventually that could actually turn back into money, like the time you spent by selling it to somebody else who's interested in playing. The only way these things work, though, like if it's with some of the games we've seen that are just like really rudimentary, then it just becomes a Ponzi thing. People aren't playing because the game's fun. They're just playing to try to earn money. And I think that's the key. Like the key is to have a game that's fun first. And so that people want to play it, like a World of Warcraft, like any of the shooters that we see, you know, COD and Fortnite and many of the other things. And so I think that's important. And that's what I'm hoping with like DeFi Dungeons. It kind of mixes that. It's going to have some of the DeFi aspect as well as some of like the fun gameplay and being able to make some money. So we'll see what that looks like. But I'm definitely interested. That's why I'm checking out the Portal Fantasy game. I like games like that. So I don't know. We'll see. I actually like that. It's what I like about DeFi, having full control of my finances. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're up to over 350 people watching today. Thank y'all so much for being here. I stream every Monday and Wednesday. I talk about, obviously, the market with everything crazy happening right now, as well as kind of what I'm doing as far as DLMMing, as far as what I'm doing with LPing on things like DeFi Tuna. These are all different areas that I talk about just in general, DeFi. Hopefully, some of my opinions, some of the education type stuff that I'm putting out will be helpful. Diablo did have an IRL marketplace. I know. I remember that. I was really excited. That was Diablo 3. It had an IRL marketplace, and people started making money on it, and then it got banned. So items can be NFTs. Yeah, exactly. Especially like CNFTs, like compressed NFTs. They don't take up nearly as much space on the blockchain, and you can have tons of them. Counter-Strike has some black markets that are like big scandal lottery. Yeah, exactly. They could just make it legal, add everything to the blockchain. I think we'll see teams like Fortnite do this fairly soon, honestly. We'll have to see. All right, cool. Hey, I'm going to hop off for today. I talked about some of the coins that I'm watching, like ARK, like SSE, Jupiter, things like that. These are ones that I'm very interested in. I've also talked about, again, DeFi Tuna and what I'm doing here. Also, lending is a great option. Jupe Sol isn't the only option. You could do JLP Sol, JLP USDC, Sol USDC. Check out all the different pools that they have here, as well as on Meteora, checking those out as well. And kind of decide for yourself what you think's working. And yeah, let me know if y'all have any other questions. I have a Discord you can join as well. It's completely free. You can join. We talk about all things DeFi, the different tokens and things like that. It's discord.gg/token guy. Super easy. It's on my profile under my link tree. You can see that here, linktree.token guy or linktr.ee/token guy and go to my link there. And you could also access things like my referral code for Good Morning, Good Night. If you want to use that as well, I would appreciate it. Thanks so much again for y'all's time. Let's keep hoping the market bounces back. We'll keep watching it, and I'll be updating people on Twitter and other places based on what I do. And yeah, thank y'all so much again. And I hope y'all have a great week. I'll see y'all. Oh yeah, I'm not streaming this Wednesday. I may do some like impromptu streaming at some point between Tuesday and Friday, but I won't be streaming on Wednesday. And so I forgot to tell y'all that, but I won't be doing that. But I will be streaming at some point again soon. I'll be putting out some more educational videos, things like that. Cool. Will Fox said his kids are into gaming, trying to get them into crypto investing. Perhaps I should start. Yeah, that could be a good way, Will. Just don't invest too much until you know that a game is pretty solid. You know what I mean? Cool. All right. Well, y'all have a good one. Thank y'all so much. Have a great day, great week. See y'all around.